I've just come back from reserve duty. I did 126 days of reserve duty this year. So again, I'm saluting those reserve soldiers. I think, again, I don't see any date of release in sight. I usually don't wear civilian clothes except for Shabbat. So what happened, the events of the 7th of October, I think that was a watershed moment. Let me just give a very general survey and a general overview of things that have been said already, and I would like to suggest an alternative, if I may. I think this was said here already. Technology, wins. It's the foundation stone of the conception. In terms of, again, the being present in the field is less significant. That's what the conception said. It also, again, believes the technological means and always deterrence measures can replace soldiers on the ground. I think that brought about, again, the Philadelphia route being abandoned, but again, it all came toppling down, it all crashed down. However, ever so often, and this is important to know, maybe in a ratio of 1 to 50, maybe even more, we sometimes do seize weapons and we bombard weapon convoys in Syria. So I guess 1 out of 50 are successful, if I must say, but in Gaza, most of the times, weapons were transferred through the tunnels and through the Philadelphia access and through the port. So if we're surprised in Gaza, the surprise in Lebanon will be so much greater. And I won't be very surprised if we suddenly found ourselves in a similar position in Iran. Now, if you know this term again from that fire from the other side, or that conception that you don't have to mow the lawn and you don't really need civilian presence in order to protect your borders. Those are slogans. That's again from 2005, from the IDF headquarters at the eve of the disengagement. I think the foundation of this is that we don't need military force, it no longer. And again, this policy where we detain people every single night since the breakout of the war, and it has proven itself. But the conception, again, that was believed in the times of the disengagement, I think, proved itself to be wrong. And the conception was to have, again, very strong technological means and to have a strong army, and no more is needed. I think the fact that we are very wary of wars in general, maybe in wake of the Yom Kippur War or in wake of the First Lebanon War, I think many channeled those sentiments to having self-guilt, and I think all those wars basically contributed to the conception that we just want quiet. And of course we did have relevant quiet, but this was a terrible era in the Gaza, again, context. Same will go for the Hezbollah. I think the three components of this, again, conception, again, I heard time and time again from, again, the INSS experts, and all those, the military personas under the auspices of the Tel Aviv University, they, again, are still hold those same conception. They give the same courses, and they have no problems, again, to give interviews during times of war. They show no remorse for what happened. Unfortunately, at least the simple soldiers and the junior commanders are filled with motivation, and I think they recovered very quickly after that first slam. But in terms of ideology, that affiliation with the land, I think religions of Christianity and Judaism, of course, also the UN understand that we have a connection to the land. So even when Jordan and Egypt ruled those Judea and Samaria after 1948, they never recognized the right of the Palestinians to self-determination. But since Oslo, I think that ideology became somewhat cracked. Suddenly this conception came that we are the conquerors, we are the occupiers. And again, this conception that we just want peace and quiet, it all came crashing down. I guess we are probably naive I think we have very westernized. All we want is prosperity. That's what most people want. And of course, equal rights. But our enemies are no partners to these types of ideologies, to these conceptions. They want to conquer the world. They want to kill all the heretics, as they see it, the non-Muslim. They believe in force. They believe in violence. We want tikkun olam. We want peace. They believe in war. They believe in ruling the world. They will go out on any attack to gain these goals of theirs. My conclusions, what are they then? I have written so many more, but again, we don't have a lot of time. I will try to say this a little slower. First of all, at the present time, we have to define the goals of the war according to priorities. Complete victory, doing away with Hamas, annulling the capabilities, removing the threat to Israel for at least 100 years to come. And then, number 3, bringing back those kidnapped, the hostages, and only then dealing with the day after the war. We have to change the conception. And how do we do this? We first have to apply sovereignty on the Jordan Valley and on Judea and Samaria. We have to change the paradigm in Judea and Samaria. I published a research article about this after being urged by Nadia and Yudit, those dear women. It's time to apply sovereignty on those settlement blocks in Judea and Samaria and the Jordan Valley. There's consensus for this, and that is how we'll be able to define the eastern border. This is of great importance, especially in light of the fact that there isn't a large Palestinian population in those areas. Also, applying sovereignty in these areas again will boost the entire economy of this area, and we also have to do it in light of bad figures that 72% among the Arabs of Judea and Samaria supported Hamas, supported the massacres of the 7th of October. That is why applying sovereignty is a solution. It has declarative importance as well. It's also practical, by the way, because it allows us to develop the Jordan Valley, to settle it, to build its industry. We have to bring a national plan. There should also be settlement in the Gaza Strip. We have to create Jewish settlement using the Nachal, nuclear communities. At the beginning, we'll bring in soldiers. They will maintain that security line. They will start building infrastructure for future communities. In the past, there was a natural connection between Yesha, between settlement and military, and everything has become blurred of late. But this connection was weakened with time until one was no longer allowed to speak of it. But it is so important because without settlement, without Jewish communities, there are no security. We also have to separate between Gaza and Rafiah to create a complete separation, the Philadelphia axis. We have to continue to use a forceful hand against any violence, any resistance, without any compromise. Even a stone that is thrown has to be dealt with using extreme measure. Many times, sometimes, again, when there is, for example, there are orchards or olive trees in certain areas from which rocks are thrown, we do not handle the situation. We do not deal harshly with those rock throwers because they're in olive groves and so forth. We have to stop, again, this attitude of not reacting. We have to build. There's no place in the world where there are so many security fences and walls like in the state of Israel. We might get a sense of security, but it's very artificial. It basically promotes a sense of fear. I live in Eli, by the way. We don't have a fence in the most part. It's all about what you reflect on the outside and the strength that you convey. We have to give enough weapons. We have to have many alert teams. We also have to know how to deal with RPG missiles and any other threats. We need governance. We need effective enforcement in Judea and Samaria for any violence of our sovereignty. We have to deal with infrastructure, even sewage infrastructure. We don't enforce the law at all. This has great impacts in terms of quarries, sewage facilities that are not on standard with the law. And of course, we have to enforce legal building and penalize those who violate again these laws. Number 7, I'll be done in just a moment. We have to rearrange ourselves on the military level, on the tactical level, vis-a-vis all the threats, and have the power to retaliate independently. We no more a small and smart army. We need a smart and big army. We need a lot of ammunition, even if this is at the expense of other things that we'll have to give up. Unfortunately, in the current warfare, it's no longer a secret. We are very limited. Inter alia, because of the conception that has led our military echelon in the past decades, as if there were no longer big wars. I think after a month, our ammunition was almost repleted. And we need to revitalize ourselves. Number 8, we have to prepare ourselves for an offensive on the part of Hezbollah. We know how to take, again, initiative when it comes to the convoys of weapons from Iran. But after the 7th of October, this is no longer enough. One thing to stop smuggling, but there's so much more that we have to do. Those smuggling convoys are only intensifying. And when the surprise comes, it will be so much more intense. The inscription is on the wall. We have to completely do away with this threat. We need a demilitarized security zone in the north. Again, it all begins with Clause 1701 of the UN. You know, that Black Saturday, as we call it, we woke up to a new reality. And again, I think the conception, the military conception, failed. I think all of us agree that what we need now, we need a complete victory. What is victory? We need boots on the ground. We need to control the territory. We need sovereignty. We cannot again leave things as they were on the 6th of October. We know redemption has two faces. It can come on time and we can speed it up. Again, when it comes to, again, speeding it up, it means we have to move quickly. I think we are now in what is called achishena, in speeding up the redemption, not waiting for things to take their natural course. And we need to sometimes get a kick in the ass for this to happen. So many are captives of those conceptions. So many people have cried over time that people are blind. We have to think differently. Some people are still captives of those conceptions. It is the time for a big civil movement that will again demand for all of what we are saying to be implemented practically. Thank you so much.